At a time when a countless number of video games or entertainment media in general are released every year from so many sources, especially today, it's inevitable that the majority of new releases will go unnoticed. Products that got passed over by the mainstream, whatever is the popular or so-called popular trend in entertainment media, an interesting idea or premise wasted by poor execution and management, or didn't have strong marketing to pique your interest. And a good example of this, and one from the video game community, is Rainbow Six Extraction, a co-op first-person tactical shooter game from the Rainbow Six series, a franchise of games based on the best-selling novel by legendary military science and spy fiction author Tom Clancy. The game goes over the tale of the best soldiers and militarists across the globe working together to combat and defeat extraterrestrials, delivering a co-op gaming experience of a team of 3 people working together to survive hordes of mutating aliens through many maps. Revealed at E3 in September 2021, the response from fans and fellow gamers alike was not very pleasing. The trailers and promo campaign for the game were panned across the board, for a game that doesn't resemble in its roots in the franchise or Tom Clancy games in general, and folks would rather have had a game with grounded qualities instead of an alien invasion, which was a radical tonal shift. However, despite its controversial setting and tone, the end result was something of a success, as it's a pretty damn good co-op shooter and one of the best player versus environment games made in a long time, including a gameplay experience that these days seem to have become rarer, mostly in the West.
Ella, look out!
The game is a straight-up cooperative multiplayer with the same structure of the series' predecessor, Rainbow Six Siege. Before jumping into a mission, you need to choose from a pool of operators that each have their own unique gadgets, weapons, and abilities that can enhance the experience, pacing, as well as change and alter the environments of the maps you drop into. So if you played Siege, you'll be able to dive right into this game easily. The game's maps are divided up into 3 medium to medium-large size interconnected spaces called incursions that each have their own objective and unalerted alien enemies that are actively hunting you. And the goal is to get through each incursion as quickly as possible while achieving the objective as you make your way to the extraction. Each map has 2 airlocks where you can restock on equipment, ammo, boost your health bar, as well as provide a reprieve or some comfort before moving into the next incursion, because the further you go, the difficulty goes up with more and more enemies, including much stronger nasties to deal with.
Engage my target!
Which brings me to the combat system, which is satisfying and can get really intense. As I mentioned already, each operator has their own unique gear and abilities to make easy work of the enemies you encounter. However, your supplies and tools are all limited, so you have to manage your kit, make occasional choices deciding which one of your things to use in which situation. There are supplies and ammo that can be found while going through the incursions, but sometimes they're not easy to acquire or even get to. One of the key elements of Extraction's design that sets it apart from its competition today is the focus on tangible consequences, which makes the risk-reward decisions of whether to attack an enemy or push further into a mission that's probably beyond your capability feel fraught and real. This also amplifies the acute sense of being a burden to your squad if you screw up, like missing a shot nailing a weak point on an enemy, or not maintaining enough situational awareness can mean the difference between life and death. Your operators are fragile as in real life, so you do not want to get hit by enemies, especially from powerful ones, and the penalty for doing so is steep. Health is regulated to healing items and medkits, and healing is temporary. Unlike the majority of most games, if you're out of combat for just a few moments, you instantly heal your health. Going down in a mission or failing to extract will knock operators right out of your roster, let alone losing your game's general progression in the process, forcing you to swap through other characters for the next several missions until they are rescued and healed up for another go-round. Plus, even losing just one operator can often mean the demise of the entire squad. In short, the balance of power is the name of the game, which makes sticking together with your squad, focus fire, stealth takedowns, surprise, and evading fights against enemies are the best options for completing missions, as fighting is a dangerous affair. The core of Extraction is about surviving the encounters with the baddies, surprising enemies by ambushing them, instead of entrenched and shooting and mow down hundreds of enemies, like most games on the market are made for. Not to mention, the AI in this game works together dynamically to hunt you down and kill you, and if you're too aggressive or make too much noise, you can trigger a massive alien attack which could make it near impossible to get to the extraction or exfil from the incursion. On top of this, the alien enemies that spawn is intermixed, which means that one playthrough of a mission, players may encounter a population of aliens or powerful ones as early as the first incursion, while another will have the aliens spawn further away from you or later in missions, depending on how far you or your team want to go. A design choice that creates moments that can only be experienced by that team at that time, which can be amazing if done correctly, and this game achieves it. Intelligent game developers know that to keep the players eagerly coming back for more, mostly for a hardcore co-op PvE experience, is to ensure cooperation. Unpredictable pacing, when players don't know what exactly they're up against, makes moment-to-moment gameplay more exciting, because anything could happen at any time, no matter how engaged or prepared the player is. Which is one of the key ingredients to achieving gaming royalty, that is, replayability.
Where are we fighting? Jesus Christ! Fight! Fight!
Other than that, the lore of the game is pretty interesting. If I had to sum it up, it's like the 1986 film Aliens crossed with the 1990s television series The X-Files. The story is an extension to a limited-time event from Rainbow Six Siege that was called Outbreak, about a meteorite that crashes down to Earth in a space capsule which contained an alien parasitic virus that consumed and transformed humans into homicidal monsters, and Extraction takes place 5 years later after that event. The virus has spread to many areas across the United States and has now adapted and evolved into organisms called Archaeans. Team Rainbow establishes a brand new division called the Rainbow Exogenous Analysis and Containment Team to set up containment zones around the afflicted areas, and React must enter the zones to gather any intel they can in order to find a way to stop the aliens. There's no story mode or single player type, but playing the game and leveling up operators unlocks pieces of the narrative that you can watch and read throughout. It's a decent story with great characters, all of which from Rainbow Six Siege, that have distinct and well-rounded personalities, making decisions and taking logical course of actions to neutralize the alien threat.
Listen, I'm just saying a single agile adaptable operator can do some things a team can't.
You also say the squad is always stronger than the individuals that make it up.
Yeah, and normally it's true. But the Marines' golden rule is improvise, adapt, and overcome. The parasite is a whole new enemy. A whole new world. Either we adapt, or we're done.
That is a very good point.
As for the rest of the game itself, there's nothing to really write home about. Extraction was to receive many live service-like, post-launch content like new operators, maps, and more things to play with, and didn't deliver much on any of those promises. Mostly due to the game's poor marketing, controversial setting and tone, and its reputation as being just a generic alien shooter, but of course that was not the case. Many fans argued the game could have been a DLC mode for Siege instead of being its own title. However, there was plenty of substance in Extraction to legitimize being its own thing. For a co-op multiplayer this good, to not have a campaign, story mode, even a short one, would have added more appeal to the game. Extraction has phenomenal mechanics and gameplay that a story mode could capitalize on it and give some additional lore to the game in the process, let alone serve as a way to get people invested in the title. That being said, the game is a multiplayer first and lore second, which seems to be the design philosophy the developers of the series have embraced going forward, making fully multiplayer games and somehow lacking the confidence, engagement, and experimentation that made up its golden age. Not just Rainbow Six, but Tom Clancy games in general. All in one, Rainbow Six Extraction is not exactly original or groundbreaking, but the gameplay is the highlight. A great co-op game and gameplay loop that's punishing, players must cooperate, hone their skills to become better, with clear goals and immediate feedback, which is an experience that doesn't compare to games that are still fun, but don't require nearly as much skill to play. You can tell it didn't receive too much attention, but make no mistake, it's a well-developed mechanical foundation. If you're looking for a challenging, old-school, hard co-op game, especially one built entirely around the concept, I recommend you give this title a playthrough. Honestly, modern gaming needs more games like it.
Right here.